Hi there everybody, I'm here to do the first part of the Q&A special that I had mentioned. I got a lot of really great questions from you guys, so I'm going to try and answer them in as many videos as it takes essentially. What I'm going to do is I'm going to answer them from oldest questions to newest questions, and I'll try and make these videos anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes long. I do tend to ramble a lot, but I'll try to keep it to a minimum so we can get through the questions as quickly as possible and it doesn't stretch out to be 5 or 6 or 7 or however many long videos it takes. This is the kind of video that's probably good to have minimized and you can do something a bit more visually stimulating. I don't do anything fancy with these, it's just me sitting here talking, answering the questions. I don't usually put it over gameplay or anything like that, so I will try my very best to answer these, and if I butcher any of your usernames, I'm very, very sorry. I will try my best, but no promises. So we'll just get started with the first question, and it comes from a user by the name of Star Wars 90001, and they asked me what my favorite Let's Play that I've done is. My favorite Let's Play that I've done would probably have to be Quest 64. When I look back on a lot of my Let's Plays, I tend to be very hard on myself. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and when I look back at old projects, I always look at things that I would do better, things that I would change, and there's always a small part of me that wants to go back and erase it and redo it, which I have done with a few projects, but it is counterproductive and a lot of work. So I don't tend to look back on my old projects very much because I am so hard on myself. But every time I look back on Quest 64, I find very little to be unhappy about. I did the project about 2 years ago at this point. That was a time when I was very comfortable with my style. Was very comfortable with all of the equipment I had, you know, using all the same stuff I've had for years. So it was pretty easy for me to kind of ease into it once I got started. When I went to do the project, it was kind of more of a joke than anything else. I honestly didn't think anybody was going to watch it because it is such a infamous, kind of notorious game. Wasn't very popular, and I just thought, I'm going to do this for fun. I wanted to get back into RPGs. It had been a very long time since I had done an RPG on the channel, and I thought that that would be a really good place to start. But as it turns out, it was actually a very successful project. It's still very successful. It usually ends up in my top 10 most viewed videos every single month. I still get comments on it, and it just keeps growing, and it's nice to see that my hard work has kind of paid off. It's nice when I feel as if I've done a good job and people are also thinking that I've done a good job. Everything in that project went very, very smoothly for me. It was very little editing. I had done a lot of research. I had taken a lot of time to myself to do things off screen, and I kind of lined it up so that everything was going to go just right, and it did. So I'm not sure if it was luck or if it was just that particular game that I picked, but it went very well. I'm still happy looking back on it, and I hope that as I continue to look back on it in the future, I'll still be very, very happy with it. So Quest 64, if you haven't watched it, then you could do that and maybe see for yourself if you agree with me. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite solo project that I've done on the channel. Okay, next question comes from Derek Chivins. I hope that's how you pronounce that. Who asks if I've watched any anime recently, and if I have, could I recommend anything? I don't watch anime. I had an experience when I was younger. I had a friend who was very heavily into anime, and she always kind of more or less forced me to watch, even though I didn't want to. So it left a really bad taste in my mouth, and I kind of just stayed away from anime in general after that, all the way up until now into my adult life. I kind of more prefer adult cartoons. But when I was on vacation back in June, I stayed with a friend and we watched a lot of Netflix. And he was watching a series called Ruby. It's a 2-episode, it's about 4 hours long anime that was done by Rooster Teeth. I think you can find it on YouTube. It's also on Netflix. And it is phenomenal. For someone like me who doesn't really like anime, it completely blew my mind. I wanted to just sit and watch the entire thing in one sitting. I was completely glued. I wanted to find out what happened next. It has great storytelling. It has great characters. Fight scenes are so beautifully and gracefully done. It has excellent music. There's just a lot of things about it that I like and not a lot of things that I dislike. And now that I've watched it, I really want them to make more episodes. I don't know if they will because unfortunately Monty Ohm passed away, but if you do want to watch something in between some of your longer animes, then that would probably be one I'd recommend just to sort of break things up. If you want to just have something that's short in between other shows, then that is definitely something that I'd recommend. The next question comes from Gilgamesh Enuma, who asks if I've played Resonance of Fate, would I LP it, and what is my favorite Final Fantasy game. I have played Resonance of Fate. I have my Xbox 360 copy here. This game is old as dirt. I looked on my Xbox achievement list, and that game is way down at the very bottom. I think it's the 3rd or 4th down from the bottom, so it is actually one of the first Xbox 360 games that I played. It is an excellent RPG, and I don't remember much about it because it has been so long since I played, but if memory serves me correctly, it was very difficult. When I played it, I didn't quite grasp the concept as well as I should have, so the game was a bit of a struggle. I did get through it, and I was very proud of myself for getting through it because the game really was a struggle. I would really like to play it again with a better understanding and more patience than I had a couple of years ago. And the thought of LPing it has crossed my mind, to be honest, because I'm always on the lookout for more RPGs that are manageable for me to do Let's Plays of. A lot of RPGs are very long, very complicated, and I just feel like they're very, very overwhelming to do as a Let's Play. So I'd thought about that one, and I think it would be manageable, but because I played it so many years ago, it would have to be something that I would have to play again for myself, and then based upon that, I would get a feeling for whether or not I wanted to Let's Play it. So maybe not. If it is something I decide to do, it won't be anytime soon. So that's the best answer I can give you for that. As for my favorite Final Fantasy game, my favorite Final Fantasy game is this guy here, Final Fantasy IV. I've played the Game Boy Advanced version, I have the DS version right here, and I also have the PC version on Steam. I can't really explain why I love Final Fantasy IV so much. I think maybe because it's the first one that I played, but there's just something about it. It has a certain charm to it, and I really love it above all the other ones. But don't get me wrong, all or most of the games in the Final Fantasy franchise are wonderful, and I have played a vast majority of them as well. Miss Cece Deviluk asks, how long do you think you will continue with YouTube? And they also added that they had asked me a question when I did my 500 subscriber Q&A, so it's nice to see you seeing me from where I started to where I am now. I think that that's really cool. As for how long I'll continue on YouTube, pretty much until I'm unable to. or until I get bored with it or nobody wants me around anymore for whatever reason. It is one of my main hobbies, and it has been for years. I've dedicated a lot of time to YouTube, to recording, to editing. I've met most of my friends, most of my internet friends on YouTube. And the website itself has done a lot for me. It's given me the ability to be a better speaker in public. And there's just a mountain of other things I can think of that it's done for me. And as I've seen YouTube change over the years, I hope it'll be around, and I hope that I'll be around for much longer. I've never asked myself if it's worth continuing or if I should really bother with it. I'm not at the point where it's a chore. I genuinely enjoy doing this. And when I'm not doing it, I'm very, very bored. I had a break, a month-long break, which was very nice, but it also felt very nice to get back into it and to be so very warmly welcomed back into it from you guys. So I don't have a definite answer for you. I guess the only answer I can give you is I will continue for as long as possible, and when it's time to quit, everybody will know about it, hopefully, and I hope it's not anytime soon. I think I have time for one more question, because this will be a short one. Jeremy McClare asked me what I think of Black Butler. The only thing that I know about Black Butler is that it's an anime, and like I explained in the previous, one of the previous questions, is I don't watch anime. What's really funny about that question is I'm fairly certain that came up in one of my other Q&As that I had done, either my 500 subscriber or my 1500 subscriber, because for some reason that name just rings a bell. So I guess it's kind of interesting that it's coming back up, but aside from knowing that it's an anime, I know absolutely nothing about it. So unfortunately, I'm not really able to answer that question or give you any sort of good answer because I have no experience with it whatsoever. Okay, so we got through a few questions. I'll cut it here before the video gets too long, and then I will return with part 2, and I'll be answering more of your questions.